Good evening, participants. Welcome to lecture series day 5 session. And once again, welcome to the lecture series on role of cement and supplementary cementitious materials and production of environment-friendly concrete, which is a way forward towards sustainability. And here for the day 5, I will introduce speaker. So today's speaker for the day 5 lecture first series is Mr. C.H. Venkatesh Garu. C.H. Venkatesh Garu has done his B.Tech from SSJEC Hyderabad and M.Tech and PhD in structural engineering from Vignan University. He has 4 years of research experience. His area of interest is on sustainable cementitious materials, chemistry of cement, durability of concrete, and microstructural characterization of concrete. He Venkatesh Garu has published 18 research articles and 6 papers presentations given in various national and international conferences. So it's my immense pleasure to hand over the session to our beloved speaker, Venkatesh sir.
Thank you, Abhinay sir, for introducing me to the session. Good evening to one and all. First of all, I would like to thank management of Sri Chaitanya Engineering College, Principal sir, and Sriram sir, and also the coordinators for conducting this type of informative online lecture series. Moreover, it is my privilege to be a part of in this online lecture series, and also I would like to welcome all the participants of today's lecture series on role of cement and supplementary cementing materials in production of eco-friendly concrete toward the sustainability. So right now we are in the 5th day of online lecture series. Today I am going to talk a couple of minutes about how the red mud is influences the fresh and hardened properties of the red mud, fresh and hardened properties of the concrete. So, so these are the contents I am going to explain in detail further. So coming to the uh, before going to the actual topic, that is a red mud. So let me explain the fundamental concept of using a supplementary cementing materials into the concrete, because in the title itself it is showing the supplementary cementing materials in the eco-friendly concrete. So what is the meaning of supplementary cementing materials? Supplementary means it is alternating cementing materials. So what is the need to take a alternative cementing material into the concrete instead of cement? So is there cement has any problem? Yes. So technically speaking, there is no problem with the cement, but as point of environment concern, there is a problem. How? Okay. So as we know that concrete is the highest consuming material after water and the earth. For preparing this concrete, every year more than 4,000 billion tons of cement is utilizing. So each ton of cement production will emit the carbon dioxide approximately 0.8 tons to 1 ton. Moreover, more than sorry, every year 8 to 12 percentage of carbon dioxide is coming out from the cement industries to the environment. So this is the major contribution. Seriously, this cement causes several environmental problems like environmental pollution due to carbon dioxide, also consuming the many natural resources. So there is a scarcity of natural resources for the forthcoming generations. So I think you might understand that there is a problem with the cement as point of the environmental concern. Then if the problem with the cement, then what is the need of using supplementary cementing materials? Does supplementary cementing materials take out this cement from the problems? Let us discuss elaborately. Okay. So in this world, many major industries are already existed, like alumina industries, steel industries, thermal power plants, silicon industries. Many agriculture industries are existed in this world. So each industry every year disposing million tons of its a disposal waste in a open lands. So it causes several environmental problems. So for this reason, the industrial management as well as the respective government of the state is worrying to dispose this waste, into a possible best method, possible best method. So at this another side, also concrete researchers also searching for the best alternative material to replace the cement, and also prepare the eco-friendly concrete. So in the early ages, the the concrete researchers started doing research on industrial byproducts. So they found some of the industrial byproducts like fly ash from the thermal power plants, GGBS from the steel plants, and red mud from the alumina industries, silica from the silicon industries, and rice gas from the agriculture industries. So they have identified these cementitious materials and they have incorporated into the concrete, and they have concluded that so these ACMs not only using in the cement for minimizing the cement production or minimizing the pollution due to this industrial disposals, but it is also giving the good performance. It's also giving the good strength and durability to the concrete. So this is the reason why we are using supplementary cementitious materials into the concrete. So here, why I am explaining about these supplementary cementitious materials means, so red mud also a supplementary cementitious material. So that's why that concept may be utilized in the further. So coming to the today's topic, red mud. So red mud is a byproduct of alumina industries. As like fly ash, it is a byproduct of power plants. GGBS is a byproduct of iron industries. So this red mud is a byproduct of alumina industries. In the alumina industries, the Bayer process has been adapted to extract the alumina from the bauxite ore. So here the Bayer process is Bayer process main aim is to extract the alumina from the bauxite ore. Okay, so let me discuss in detail about the Bayer process. So in the Bayer process, the raw bauxite ore dissolved in concentrated NaOH with high pressure and temperature. In this process, some of the waste comes out from the filters, that is called red mud. Okay, so here in the Bayer process, 1 ton of red mud will produces more than, so in the 1 ton of alumina produces more than 1.5 tons of red mud as a waste. So here disposal of the red mud. So every year more than 300 million tons of red mud is being produced throughout the world. So similarly in India itself, 25 million tons of red mud is coming out from the various alumina industries. Those are Nalco, Balco, Hindalco, and many others. So these huge disposal is a very difficult, and of course it requires a lot of land. So throughout the world is following 2 effective disposal methods for best disposal of this red mud. One is the Lagning method, another one is the lake method. So in the Lagning method, the artificial ponds are created for the disposing of this red mud in terms of slurry mode, in terms of dry mode. So coming to the lake disposal, so in the lake disposal, directly the red mud is disposed into the water bodies like lakes and sea and rivers. So even though it is an effective disposal method, there are certain disadvantages are there in these disposal methods. So at any cost, the disposal of red mud in the open land, it is very, very dangerous to the environment. Why? Because it has high alkaline nature. This high alkaline nature doesn't help to grow any vegetation on the open lands. And also this red mud is a very, very finer particle. It will create a lot of breathing problems to the surrounding neighbor living places. Also, if the red mud is disposed into the pond, whenever the monsoon seasons, the pond may be filled with the rainwater. There is a chance of flooding. There is a chance of floods due to this filling of water. Already in the 2010 and 2018, there are two natural disasters are observed after breaking the embankments of the red mud ponds. So obviously, so this is a huge disposal. So it is very difficult to dispose. So in such cases, the industrial management has planned to use this red mud into the some building materials. Those are preparation of the bricks, stabilized blocks, also preparing lightweight aggregates. Or some industries are also encouraging that using this red mud as a paint. So some other industries are suggested that we can also produce some polymer products and ceramic tiles, and we can also utilize in the metallurgical industries. Okay, anyway, they want their major aim is to reduce the pollution due to red mud. Okay, so for that reason, they have started investigation on utilizing utilizing into the building materials. So, but as from the existing literature, this usage is limited to 4% of the actual disposal. So this disposal is very less. It is approximately 4% from the actual. So it is very less. So they have not satisfied. Then what is they have doing the further research to dispose in effective manner for very effective disposal. So they have thought that the concrete is the highest consuming material. If you use the concrete, if you use the red mud in the concrete, we can able to minimize the pollution due to its disposal, as well as another side. So if you use the red mud in the concrete, there is a chance of reduction of production of cement, so that both advantages will help to the environment. So because of that reason, the red mud is utilizing into the concrete. Even for this reason, I have selected red mud as my research material. So coming to the research methodology. So we cannot use any industrial byproduct into the concrete without knowing its physical and chemical properties. Definitely, if you want to add or replace into the cement, you should know the physical and chemical properties of that material. Whether that material is suitable into the concrete environment or not, we have to check. Otherwise, it's a waste of time and waste of the money. So in my research, I have started investigating on its physical properties, like specific gravity, density, particle size analysis, and specific surface area and mass loss. Also, the chemical properties, like how much percentage of chemical compounds are presented. So I investigated. Based on my investigation, I have understand that yes, the red mud having some cementing property, but it required some push-up. It required some push-up. That push-up we have to given in terms of by adding the chemicals or by the heating in the temperatures. So in this process, we have adapted the heating process. So why we have heating the process? Why not the chemical adding? If at all I used any chemicals into the red mud, so after that there is a chance to damage the concrete health. It may be reduce the heat of hydration process. It may be creates the internal voids. It may be create the some surface cracks or shrinkage cracks or something like that. So for this reason, so we have adapted the heating process that is called the calcination method. So here I have adapted my calcinate temperature is 600. So how I fixed the 600 based on the existing literature. So some of the researchers are mentioned that so at 600 heating level, the red mud having poorly crystalline nature, so that may be helpful for the pozzolanic activity. So for that reason, here we have considering our temperature is 600, and there is a big confusion about how much time we have to calcinate this red mud. 1 hour, 2 hours, or 10 hours, or 24 hours. there is a big question in existing literature. At the time, the serum sir was helpful to me. So he finalized some intervals. So better we go to the some 1%, 1 hour to 6 hours, so that we will identify the properties. If it is not suitable, we'll go to the higher duration level. So in my study, I have taken 1 hour to 6 hours heating period. So we have analyzed all the physical and mechanical properties, and we found that yes, some temperature having good properties. So we are considering that some temperature, for example, in my study, 2 hours temperature. So we have got a good result. So that red mud is incorporated into the cement as a partial replacement to the cement. So we prepared so M35 grade concrete and M70 concrete with replacement level of 5 to 20%. So after that, we have evaluated the mechanical properties, durability properties, microstructural properties, and so based on that, we have found some result analysis, and we have finalized the optimum concrete. So coming to the, as I told you earlier, we cannot keep any supplementary cementing materials into the concrete. So here we found that specific gravity, density, and particle analyzer, specific surface area, mass loss. So I think you might be aware of that, how to identify the specific gravity. So we have the specific gravity bottle, or we can call it as a pycnometer. So you can take the pycnometer, first weigh the pycnometer, consider it as a W1, and after that you add some 25 to 50 grams of cement into the, depends upon the pycnometer volume, so that you weigh that weight of the cement along with the pycnometer. You can consider it as a W2. After that, you fill the remaining portion with kerosene. White kerosene means it is a non-reacting liquid, so that's why we have to use the kerosene. So then weight it considered as a W3. After that, throw out all the materials and take the empty weight of the specific gravity bottle. So we have the formula. So by getting that formula, you will get the specific gravity value. Like with the help of the density bottle, you can also find the density, and we have the particle analyzer. So I found the here particle analysis, and so here I'm up to 2 hours of heating, the specific gravity, density, particle size, specific gravity, and mass loss was reduced. So the reason is due to the continuous calcination process, the moisture present in the particles is evaporated. So after that, there is an increment was observed in the result. So what is the reason? So due to the thermodynamical forces acting between the red mud particles, the particles are get charged and formed a solid body. So this might be the reason for enhancing the specific gravity, density, and particle size of the red mud particles. So this is the reason for increasing, decreasing of these physical properties. So coming to the X-ray diffraction analysis, and in the present study, we need to know the how, with respect to the temperature, how red mud is changing its transformation. So for that, so we have conducted the X-ray diffraction analysis. So you can clearly observe here at 0 hours, the geogate, hematite, gibbsite, boehmite was presented. After heating 1 more hour, the boehmite is converted into the alumina, and after further heating, the boehmite was initially that gibbsite converted to the boehmite, and boehmite converted into the alumina. But throughout the XRD peaks, iron oxide is a stable one, because from the existing literature also they have mentioned that after 1600 of temperature, whenever you calcinate the red mud after 1600 temperature, then only there is a chance to changing the transformation in the iron oxide. So similarly, here also we have conducted the scanning electronic microscopy analysis to know how the surface morphology of the red mud particles is varying with respect to the temperature. So from this study, we have identified that at 2 hours of calcination, the particles are poorly crystalline. So here you can observe that in the A diagram there is a mm, compare the size of the particle compared to the A and B. B is a very smaller than A, and also after B there is an increment increasing the particle size. So in the physical properties, we have identified that up to 2 hours of temperature, up to 2 hours of heating, the particles are losing its moisture. That's why the physical properties are reducing. After 2 hours of heating, the increasing trend was observed due to agglomeration between the particles. So from this SEM analysis also, we can justify that so after 2 hours of heating the agglomeration takes place. So here I am telling that there is a good correlation with the physical and all the physical properties. Coming to the very important study. So okay, we have identified physical properties and chemical properties. Okay, so actually SCM's duty is we need to incorporate into the cement, incorporate into the concrete. Then we need to know that its pozzolanic property. If we want to use any cementing material into the concrete, you should know the pozzolanic property of that cementing material. So we have generally two methods. One is the calcite consumption method. Another one is the strength activity method. So here I am explaining strength activity index method. So this is a very important study. So in this strength activity index test, I have conducted with the help of the ASTMC 618. So here the study is a very simple. Okay. So first of all, you need to prepare one normal concrete sample. So cure it in 28 days in water, take out the sample and identify its compressive strength. Similarly, you prepare a concrete sample with the help of your cementing material. Whatever you are going to use in your concrete, you prepare that concrete with those cementing materials and same cure it in 28 days and identify its compressive strength. So here strength activity index is the ratio of the compressive strength of cementing SCM concrete by compressive strength of the cement concrete. If you got the ratio is more or equal to 0.75, you can consider that material is a cement good pozzolanic material. So here why we have conducted the strength activity test, we need to know the pozzolanic property of the red mud. That's why we have conducted here strength activity index test. So what is strength activity? It is the ratio of compressive strength of red mud by compressive strength of actual normal concrete. Okay, you should remember this point. Okay. Then so randomly I have replaced the 10%. Randomly I have replaced the 10%, and I have evaluated the compressive strength. I have evaluated the compressive strength of all the calcined red mud, so that I have obtained that. So 2 hours has got maximum higher strength. So because in the microstructure analysis also we have proven that at 2 hours calcination time, the red mud particles have poorly crystallized. That's why we got maximum strength here. Yes. So coming to the mechanical property, physical and mechanical properties, here onwards, I will spend much time on how to perform the study, and I will take 2 to 3 small time to explain how the results are varied. So in the physical and mechanical property studies, we have taken already. I have explained that 2 concretes are prepared. If you want to use any cementing material into the concrete, you should understand that how the material performance in the design mix, nominal mix, and high strength mix. So for that reason, in my study, I have taken 2 grades of concrete. That is the M35 grade, and another one is the M70 grade. In the physical properties, I have identified that fresh properties. I have identified that setting time, flow table test, and some cone test. In the mechanical properties, I have identified that compression, split, and flexural strength. So these are the physical and chemical properties of red mud and OPC. And here also I have used silica film. The reason for using silica film is whenever your maximum cement content, your taken cement content is more than 150, 450, then remaining part you have to utilize the silica film. Then only will achieve the high strength. Okay. So coming to the fresh properties. In the fresh properties, as I told you earlier, I have conducted the setting times. So you know about what is the initial setting time and final setting time. With the help of the VCAT operators, we can measure both the initial and final setting time as per the IS code 4031. The minimum initial setting is should not be less than 30 minutes and should not be greater than 600 minutes for final setting time. So in my study increases the replacement level of red mud, decreasing the setting time. So the reason is, so this red mud contains so higher percentage of sodium and aluminate. So these are all accelerate the hardening process. So from this result, I can tell you that whenever you are constructing a building or a structure in cold countries, maybe this red mud maybe is very helpful to for hardening process. So coming to the flow table test or slump cone test, namely I used to call this our workability studies. So here also in the workability studies, we have conducted the slump flow test and slump cone test. You might aware of the slump cone test, but in case of the slump flow, so we have the slump flow operators, we have the mold, and we need to pour the cement paste or red mud paste into that mold, and we have to apply 25 tampings with the help of 25 hits. So due to that heat, the red mud paste or cement paste is spreaded. So how much diameter the cement paste has spread, you need to measure. So based on that, you have to calculate the flow value of your cement paste or a red mud cement paste. So here also increases the content of red mud into the concrete. So the workability is reduced. The reason is, so red mud particles are very fine particles. So whenever the particles are very fine, it will absorb or it will demand the more water. So this is the reason for reducing the workability. And this is the mix calculation I used for in my research work. So this is done as per IS 10262 2009. So coming to the mechanical properties, okay. So we have prepared the concrete cube samples with the size of 150 by 150 by 150. So after cast the concrete specimens, after 24 hours, the specimen was demolded. After the 28 days, curing was applied. And after next day of 28 days, we have take out the sample and we performed the compressive strength. So from the compressive strength, what we will get? So we can get the resistance against the crushing failure. So how much compressive load is taking the concrete sample without to fail, so that we'll get the load and you can substitute the load by area, you will get the compressive strength. And here you can clearly observe the crushing failure. So here you can observe the crushing failure. So coming to the next one, split tensile strength. So strictly speaking, there is no direct method to identify the tensile strength of the concrete. So that's why I used to call this is the indirect tensile strength. So here you can also clearly look at the how the concrete sample is split exactly. So in case of the concrete cube, we have applied the failure on the surface of the concrete sample. But in case of the split tensile strength, the sample was completely splitted. The reason is, in case of cube, the load contacting area is very high. In case of the tensile strength, the load contacting area is very less. So you can see here in the compressive testing mission. So here load is initially we are applying on the steel rod. So that steel rod is resting on the concrete specimen. So that the rod contacted area is become a critical. So there is a chance of developing more critical stresses at that point. That's why the concrete sample is splitted. So similarly, the flexural strength also we performed to know the deformation under loading. So these images show the how the flexural failure. So coming to the mechanical properties. So as I told you earlier, so I have performed the compressive strength, split angle, and flexural strength. So in this study, the compressive strength is increases up to 10% of a red mud replacement. After that, there is a reduction was observed in all the mechanical properties. The reason is, so at 10% only having sufficient pozzolanic property. So after that, what happened? Due to the insufficient water availability, the pozzolanic reaction is minimized. That's why after 10% of replacement, all the mechanical properties are reduced. Okay. So coming to the normalized values. Okay. Even all cementitious materials, definitely they will increase a certain percentage of compressive mechanical properties. What is the speciality of this red mud? So it is same like others or something, it is a different. So that's why we have analyzed the its behavior from the early ages to later ages. So these are the normalized compressive strength result. So why we have to compare the strength of the concrete with respect to age? We have prepared these graphs. So here you can see the normal concrete having at the 7 days 0.69. In case of the red mud concrete, it is 0.74, and it is 0.75, 0.71. So definitely as compared to the normal concrete, it is having high early strength. Okay. Why high early strength is achieved? Definitely I will explain in the microstructure part. And also, so in the latter ages also, this red mud concrete having good compressive strength as compared to the normal concrete. So what is the reason? As I told you earlier, these red mud particles are very fine particles. This will hold the moisture content, surrounding moisture content. That moisture content will utilize for the secondary pozzolanic reactions in the latter ages. This is the reason for developing the high strength in the latter ages also. So very interesting is, so in my study, I also compared my results with existing IS codes, and I have prepared the formula based on my investigation. This 0.17 FC 0.28, I have prepared this formula from my result. So I compared my formula with all the existing codes, ACI code, Australian code, and Europe code. So I have found that there is a good correlation with my results compared to the other codes. So similarly, even I also find out the relation between the flexural strength and compressive strength. Here also I got this formula 0.45 FC to the power 10. So I compared this results with the predicted results with existing codes. I found that a good correlation with each other. So coming to the very, very important aspect, durability. Okay, some concrete has a high early age strength, some concrete has later age strength. But when coming to the durability, the concrete should be durable from the day one to up to lifespan, up to whatever lifespan the concrete having. So durability is nothing but without changing the engineering properties of the concrete, it's maintained the lifetime. That is called the durability. In the present study, to understand the durability, we have conducted the water absorption, open porosity, sorptivity, RCPT, and other studies. So let me explain the studies elaborately, then I will skip the result part. So coming to the water absorption. So in this water absorption, I have performed with the help of BS code 1881-122. So this code suggested that, so first of all, if you want to know the water absorption, what is the water absorption? The concrete absorbs amount of water when it is completely immersed into the water. Okay, for this study, we have to prepare the concrete sample, cure it in 28 days, and after that you just keep the sample in oven at 105 centigrade for 72 hours. The reason for keeping the sample into the oven is to take out the moisture present into the concrete sample. So after that, you can take the dry weight of the sample. So just you keep it the sample into the water. After you keep it in 28 for 24 hours. After that, take out your sample and wipe out the surface moisture and weigh that sample that you consider as a wet weight. Wet weight minus dry weight by dry weight into 100, you will get the definitely a water absorption percentage. If the concrete absorbs the more water, you can consider that as a pure quality. If the concrete absorbs less water, that concrete is more durable. So as like porosity also. So in the porosity also, I have conducted ASTM C642. So the main aim is the porosity is to find out the amount of void space is available in the concrete particle. So for this study also, we have to take the known volume of water, and as I told you earlier, we have to dry the sample in 105 temperature for 72 hours to remove the moisture content. So after that, you have to keep the sample for porosity. Also, you need to keep the sample 24 hours in water, so that uh, after that no water will be absorbed by the concrete. So after that, you have to keep the sample in that known volume of water. Definitely, once you place the concrete sample, the water volume will be increases. So actual volume of water minus increased volume of water, it will be calculated with the porosity percentage with the help of this formula. Okay. So next one is the sorptivity. This is also one of the important tests. So sorptivity, nothing but the water absorption by the concrete sample with capillary action. In this process, we have to prepare the concrete sample with the size of 100 with size of 100 diameter and thickness of 50 mm. We have to apply the wax on three directions. So one direction is free, means we can able to penetrate the water from that uncoated wax side, so that the weight gained by the concrete sample with respect to S, we will measure. So here the formula is I by root T. So like that, you have to keep the analysis, the result like this, so that you will get the sorptivity value. Coming to the very, very important test, that is a rapid chloride permeability test. It is a very powerful test to identify the permeability of the concrete. So as per ASTM C1202, we have conducted this RCPT test. So here the two chambers are there. One chamber is filled with sodium hydroxide, another chamber is filled with NaCl with a 3%. So here the concept is the whatever the NaCl presence in the chamber, that should passes through the concrete sample and it should reach with the NaOH. NaOH. So this is the concept. This passes with help of 60 volts of current. So if your passage, your Coulomb's passage is more than 4,000, you can consider that concrete is poor durability. If your concrete is 2,000 to 4,000, you can call it as a concrete quality is moderate. Like that, similarly, we have to justify the performance of the quality of the concrete. So coming to this is the RCPT setup. So here red one is the positive and the black one is the negative. So coming to the another powerful tool, that is the accelerated corrosion test. So in this, we have to identify the corrosion behavior of the concrete. For that, you have to prepare a cylinder sample with a diameter of 100 and the height of 200. So you have to insert, while you are casting the sample, you have to insert the steel rod inside the concrete from the bottom to 50 mm. So that 50 mm we used to call generally 50. It is a curve. Okay. So here also you have to connect the positive cable to the steel bar and negative cable to the so here that steel plate, so that you have to apply the continuous power up continuous power 10 volts of power up to you will get the crack, So after corrosing, the sample will be like that. So you can see here clearly how I compared with how red mud has behaved as compared to the normal concrete. In the normal concrete, the sample is completely see corroded. In case of the red mud, it is partially corroded. So here from all the durabilities, water absorption and porosity, sorptivity, passage of coulomns, so and corrosion also, the increases the replacement level of red mud, increases the durability. The reason is the most of the red mud particles are occupy the concrete pore structure, so that it is to become a seal to the concrete, so that no external agents are entering into the inside, entering into the concrete. So this is the reason for developing the good durability property. So here also corrosion also, so the mass loss is reduced with increase. Here in the corrosion we can measure the corrosion in two ways. One is the up to crack observed or up to mass loss. So in both cases this the similar trend results was observed. Coming to the sampling for microstructure analysis, I will be finishing within 2 minutes. So just be patient. So in the microstructure, why I have conducted the microstructure analysis? The reason is I have proven that this red mud has good mechanical properties and durability properties from the experimental study. So I have to justify clearly whether the concrete inner properties are supporting this behavior or not. So for that reason, I have conducted the microstructure analysis. In my study, I have conducted the SEM analysis and XRD analysis, how to prepare the sample for XRD. So after 28 days of curing, you can identify its compressive strength, and you can take the sample from the broken test piece and you made into the powder, and you can perform the X-ray dry fraction analysis, so that you will get the what are the hydration compounds present in your concrete at that edge of concrete. So for a SEM analysis like that, you don't need to made into the powder. You can give a solid piece with the size of 1 centimeter by 1 centimeter by 0.5 centimeter, so that you can able to know the how the concrete surface is found. So coming to the X-ray dry fraction analysis, as I told you earlier, in the X-ray dry fraction analysis, we can able to find out what are the hydration compounds present in the concrete. So generally, in my entire study, I have conducted this XRD analysis with the help of the Expertise Core software for identification of peaks. So these are the peaks I have identified in my research work. And generally in the XRD data, you will get the intensity and 2 theta values. So coming to the X-ray dry fraction analysis, so these are the, for the comparison point of view, I have keep it all the XRD graph in a single slide, so that in the present study, I have updated Larned, Portlandite, Ettringite, Hornet, and Quartz. So these are all very, very important. So because the Portlandite is a, it will help to develop the pozzolanic reactivity. It will keep the pore solution in alkaline nature whenever the sample having alkaline nature. So definitely that will be give the good pozzolanic activity. And Larnate and the heart rates, these are the halides or velites, or you can call it as the C2S and C3S. So these are all the indications for presence of calcium hydrated silica gel. And quartz, the presence of quartz is react with the calcium presence in the concrete, so that it will develop the calcium silica hydroxide. Generally, Ettringite will be present in the 7 days, so due to the percentage of sulfate and calcium. So these are the quantifications I have found from the Expertise Core software. So that here, so I have found that at the 10% replacement, I have observed the higher percentage of Larnate and heart rate. So this may be the reason for developing high strength at a 10% replacement level of red mud. As I told you earlier in the mechanical properties, so I have found that 10% replacement having high compressive strength, high split tensile strength, and high flexural strength. The reason may be the presence of higher percentage of Larnate and heart rate at the 10% replacement level. Coming to the SCM, so the scanning electronic microscope is generally used to find out how the concrete surface morphology is there. So in case in your study, If at all you find any needle-like structure, you can call it as a tringate, or if you find any polygon shapes, you can call it as a calcium hydroxide, or if you find any flower-like structure, you can call it as a CSH. So for good concrete, the CH should be there. Okay. So these are the ranges of ranges of chemical compounds, and the EDS analysis we have conducted to identify the chemical properties of chemical elements of concrete. So here I can complete quickly. So here you can clearly observe that as compared to, this is the no red mud replaced concrete. These are the red mud replaced concrete. So in case of no red mud concrete, you can clearly observe that the voids are present there. So the voids are present there. But in case of red mud concrete, no voids are less number of voids and cracks were present. And moreover, you can clearly observe the tringate formation and the polygon shapes, like we used to call the calcium hydrates, and also flower-like section CSH. We can clearly observe in the red mud based concrete. So the reason for minimizing the voids is, as I told you in the earlier, the most of the concrete voids are filled with these red mud particles. So that's why the concrete become a dense. So yes, from the SEM also, from the image wise, I have told that this concrete having good properties. But as point of EDS also, I have EDS analysis also I have conducted, and I have identified that the 10% is concrete having low calcium by silica ratio. So if the generally if the calcium silica ratio indicates the presence of CSH. Generally, the CH is the calcium silica ratio range is 0.8 to 2.5. So if calcium silica ratio is very less, you can call it as a strong CHL was found. And if the calcium silica ratio is very high, you can call it as a calcium silica ratio. CSH gel is very poor. So in my study, 10% I have got low calcium silica ratio, and this value also supporting the experimental results. Like that, in your research also, you better do the SEM analysis and EDS analysis, so that strong evidence will be with you. So these are the few SEM images, and also we have identified the ITZ, interfacial transition flow. So here also I can conclude that. So the red mud particles are completely bind with the aggregate. Because of that reason, the compressor strength are also increases. These are the images. So these are the publications I have found from my research work. So most of the publications from the Springer and elsewhere. Out of these 9, I have 2 essays, and the remaining all are Scopus and ESA lecture journals. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Yes, thank you very much, Venkatesh sir, for such an educative and in-depth research as a lecture. So it was really informative session. If they really concentrate, really it was a very depth, sir. Really, I am very proud of you, sir. This research, sir. And there are some questions, sir. Can you please address them?
Yes, sir. Sure, sir.
Yes, sir. And one is asking that can we use this red mud as the construction of a CC roads?
Yes, sir. Definitely we can use, sir. Definitely we can use, because in the material levels we have found that 10% red mud having high compressive strength. So you can use the 10% of red mud for constructing the CC roads.
Yes, sir. And one more question is that yes, he's asking about what is the notations of OR, O, A0, RM, ASRM. So Vishal, it's nothing but we gave some naming to the mixed design. Is it no, sir?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, it is.
A means it is a mix A.
Yes.
Means 35 MPa. So 0 means 0 replacement of 0 RM means 0% of RM replacement.
Red mud.
Yes, sir.
Yes, it is just a naming, Vishal. And one more is asking, sir, are you, sir, 10% of reduction in mechanical properties is there if we add red mud? Yeah, as you said, then why can't we go for adding the admixtures? Is there any chance to add admixtures in red mud? Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Actually, red mud itself, it is a mineral admixture, sir, as like fly ash and GGBS. So red mud is a mineral admixture.
Yes, yes, sir. And how can we know the polarities of the cylindrical concrete while connecting to the circuit?
Yes, sir. We have a data acquisition system. So from the system, how much charge is passing with respect to the time. So we can measure that. And after that, we have the formulas. Based on the formulas, we can identify the RCPT Coulomb's passes. And also by the help of the reading, we can also justify the corrosion behavior.
Yes, Vishal, it is an DAC, that is data acquisition system. DAS, it is a data acquisition system from which you can note down the values and we can interpolate with the formulas. So, yes, and one person is asking, sir, why this is not used in our livelihood construction?
Yes, sir. Just now it is people are getting awareness. So in recent times, so it maybe take a couple of years to come to the reality, sir. So now only it is research is little starting.
Yes,
In
sir.
future, as like in the geopolymer concrete, is the 1980s we have started the geopolymer concrete. So even now in the 2020 now people are starting using geopolymer concrete. So it will any material it requires some certain time because the industry people's requires generally the construction industry people's requires profits and they want to believeness from the clients. So generally, any new material, the clients not very much interested to take out. So it will take some time, sir.
Yes, sir. And sir, in XRD analysis, what indicates to theta value?
Yes, sir. Theta value means it is a position of X-rays.
Yes, sir. And what is the factor of safety for the red mud that which you are using in the constructions?
I think no need of any factors.
Yes, sir. What is the color of final output of a mix when it's get hardened? Is it a gardened or it is hardened? Pavan, can you please unmute yourself and yes, Pavan. Hardened, yes, it is hardened, sir. What is the color of the final output in the mix when it is hardened?
Yes, sir. Actually, I want to. Actually, it is a good question. I have forgotten this. So, actually, it is a bauxite residue. Why it is in the red mud means it contains higher percentage of iron oxide. Due to this iron oxide, it is called the red mud. So, after preparing the concrete sample, it is completely hardened. The concrete color is red color.
Yes, sir.
Red color
Actually,
comes.
if you go on seeing the slides and the last slide, we can see for the cylinder, sir. It's very
Yes,
clearly observed.
yes, sir.
Yes, sir. And what is the meaning of diffraction in X-ray analysis?
Yes, sir. X-ray diffraction is a calorimetry study. So from this test, we can identify that what are the hydration hydration phases are there in is concrete. For example, in the box compound, we have seen that C3S, C3S, C4AF, and C3S. So likewise, here also we can identify which compound is presented. So in the red mud concrete, I have identified Harnett nothing but a C3S. So this is the reason for achieving the high early strength.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. These are the questions, sir, and really very much thankful to be here as a part of the lecture series for the day 5, sir.